Hello everybody, I'm going to do a video today about escaping the drama. The idea being, this is a subject which was coined by Eric Berne back in the 60s, I think, where people engage in transactions where they do something in order to get a response. And for me, this is the definition of drama, okay? Because there's no point in having a dramatic trigger unless there is a dramatic response. And so if you find yourself being captured by people who have this kind of neediness about them, they are maybe tugging on your anxiety, or maybe they're anxious themselves and they're looking for you to support them, where people are sucking on your energy. And the thing is, there are far, far finer ways of replenishing your energy. You can come out in a beautiful place like this, right? You can go into nature. You can just admire wherever it is you are. Even in a bustling city, you can find some extraordinary things to replenish your energy. You don't need to suck that energy from someone else. And at the end of that neediness is a lack of ability to be comfortable inside your own skin on your own in a sense of silence. So if you find yourself being captured into people's drama, if you're near people who somehow either need their ego stroking or need you to do things for them, or appear to be playing the pity card or the needy card, and are abdicating their own personal responsibility and kind of throwing it on your shoulders, and you're feeling this sense of depleted energy, this sense of being dragged away from your core, from your anchor, by people. That's what this is for, okay? So I guess that's going to happen, okay, because people are going to be people, and you can't control what other people are going to do. So the way to solve this is by being comfortable inside your own skin, in being able to find your own silence, in being able to know what it is that you are, what is your sphere of influence, the boundary by which you define yourself, what is outside of that, what is someone else's responsibility, and therefore, based around all that, be able to start making rational decisions, emotional decisions that are congruent, that make sense to all of you, based around the fact that you're comfortable inside your own skin. Because once you're comfortable inside your own skin, once you're able to sit in silence with yourself, replenish your own batteries, well then when other people are, spontaneously sparking off this drama, it doesn't have the same impact, because you can kind of go inside yourself and question yourself and say, is this anything to do with me? Is it my responsibility to make this person happy, for example? And come to your own conclusion. Let me give you a very, very quick way of finding the silence inside of you. There are 1,001 ways to find the silence inside of you, in actual fact. All it takes is a choice. All it takes is a decision to go there and to find it, which means making a decision to look after yourself, which is the self-love element. But the point is, this is not an egotistical thing. This is not a selfish thing. This is simply being at ease with yourself, noticing when you're being dragged off course and bringing yourself back to center. So when you find that you are feeling that sense of depleted or drained energy, that someone is sucking on you for solutions, and it's not your job, okay, that's outside your boundary, it's someone else's, find the silence inside of you. There are thousands of ways to do this. Simple one is you can just look yourself in the mirror. Yeah, you can look yourself in the mirror and see what you notice. Yeah, you can follow your breathing. Yeah, you follow your breathing in, your breathing out. Notice the air as it breathes through your nostrils, air as you're breathing out. Notice the difference in the temperature as you're breathing in and you're breathing out. Notice the way that your diaphragm lifts and falls. Notice your inner experience, effectively. So use that as a ceremony, a route into your peace. There's another one which I have done on a few of my videos where you kind of look at your your fingers. You look at both fingers at the same time, and they're about 10 centimeters apart, maybe, no, about 6, 7, 8 centimeters apart, and they're pointing forwards, and you're looking at both, which means that you're looking in between. And then you notice your inner experience, you notice your feelings whilst you're gazing at the space in between those two fingers. So you're kind of aware of both fingers, and the feeling on the end of the fingers is a little bit as if you're pressing on a light switch. And you notice your breathing, you notice your stomach, you notice your ankles, you notice the tingling sensation, you notice where you feel most quiet in your body whilst constantly gazing at that space between the fingers. You make this choice that you're going to find the silence inside of you. And once having made that choice, you then extend the place that you're gazing to a few centimeters in front of both fingers. And that, for me, is tremendous, because, of course, there's nothing there in front of those two fingers. It was already hard enough to be concentrating on both fingers at the same time. So you kind of give up, you kind of expand your peripheral vision, and you look somewhere in between the two. But then when you put it forward, and there's nothing there at all, your mind kind of goes quiet at the same time that your body goes very quiet. Another way that you can do it is through meditation. You simply sit there. You make a conscious decision to meditate, to be aware that thoughts might come, but when they come, you just allow them to flit away. Yeah, you're not going to consider them in this moment. You're going to give yourself a moment of peace with yourself. Okay? So, 1,001 ways to do it. But let me give you one which is tremendously hypnotic. Obviously, standard health warning applies. Please do not follow this part of the video or this part of the recording. Don't listen to my words. If you are operating machinery, if you're driving a car, only do so when it's completely safe and appropriate to do so. Well, with that in mind, set yourself an intention. Find yourself a place that is kind of quiet, safe. You're reasonably sure you won't be disturbed. And, it doesn't matter if there are noises around you. They won't disturb you. You can choose to kind of screen them out. But it's nice. It's a more immersive experience if you simply allow this to proceed in a manner where you're not going to be disturbed. And when you're ready, just take in a good deep breath. And hold the breath. And let that breath go. And perhaps you want to look at the video, perhaps you want to close your eyes, perhaps you want to stare at a space on the ceiling. Take in a second good deep breath. And hold that breath. And let that breath go. And perhaps you can already notice the stillness inside of your body. And if so, notice where it's most still inside your body. Taking a good third deep breath. And hold that breath. And release that breath. And if your eyes are open, just allow your eyes to close. If they're closed, just allow them to become even more relaxed. Breathe normally. And notice that stability inside of you. Focus on the part of your body that is being supported by the chair, the bed, the floor, whatever it may be. Focus on that solidity. Spread that solidity out. Spread it towards your legs, towards your arms. Focus on that solidity and allow those muscles to relax to the point where they just simply don't work. They're completely solid, effortlessly still. Spread that sense of calm, that sense of stillness to the parts of your body that perhaps need it most. And as you do so, maybe you notice a certain tingling sensation in a part of your body. Maybe you notice a certain thought that comes and goes in your mind. Maybe you notice certain noises around you, but they don't disturb you. Because you're here just to look after yourself. And with a bit of luck, you've already found the silence inside of you. There's nothing particularly to think. There's nothing particularly to say or do or prove. You're just being with yourself. Giving yourself in this moment whatever it is that you most need. Noticing your diaphragm rising and falling, your chest rising and falling. Perhaps noticing your heart beating in your chest. Bring your attention to your wrist. Maybe you can notice the pulse in your right wrist. Maybe you can notice how different that right hand feels from the left hand. Maybe, as I mentioned, the left hand, you can notice the pulse in your left wrist. But the point is that you can focus on your inner experience. Because actually you don't need my words at all. You simply need to make the choice to discover the magic inside of you, to discover the peace inside of you. And you can do this at any moment. So when you're ready, just open your eyes. It's not as if you were in an extraordinary hypnotic trance. You were just having a moment inside. But the more that you do this, the more that you communicate with yourself in a non-verbal manner, when your inner critic is quiet and you are simply observing, that is an act of self-love. That is an act of kindness to yourself. And that sends a massive message to you that you're all right, that you're worth it, that you deserve to be looked after, that you're important, that you don't need to rely on other people's to support you. In actual fact, that you're able to care for yourself in tremendously powerful ways, completely on your own, that you're resourceful, that you're ever changing, that there are opportunities around you at every moment of the day, that you have a certain strength. And when this realization comes along and then somebody is being a drama queen, kind of puts it into a different perspective. You don't need to respond to their dramatic gesture. They're going to do whatever they're going to do. But you can find the silence inside of yourself. You can look after you. And they can do whatever they choose to do. Okay? So you can then respond rather than reacting on autopilot. And perhaps the response is to look after them. Perhaps the response is to engage with their drama and placate them or support them, whatever it is. Perhaps that's the right thing to do. But perhaps it's not. Okay? Perhaps that's their job and not your job. Either way, rather than being carried away by the vortex of the drama, you're choosing. That's what responsibility is. It's choosing your response. That's taking responsibility for yourself, for your well-being. And suddenly your anchor is firmly weighted. You know who you are, you know what you are, you know when you are, you know why you are. Voila, I've completely escaped the drama. Thanks for watching. I hope that's of interest. If it is, go check out my other videos. There are many, many, many other videos now these days. So some are much more hypnotic than that. Some are more existential. Some are my kind of personal thoughts on strange issues that kind of bother me from time to time. And some are kind of practical life hacks. Yeah, there is 1,001 ways that you can adjust your emotional balance. You know, the entirety of NLP is basically ways of directing your focus in order to adjust your emotional response. So this, just because I happen to love hypnosis, I find this a tremendous way of guiding myself wherever happens to be useful in the moment. But don't think for a minute that this is the only way. Okay, there's 1,001. Go check them out. All right, thanks for watching. Cheers.